So once we're in Cinema 4D, we're gonna start setting up our basic scene. To do this, we're first going to insert a floor, then we're going to insert a sky. That's our scene done. Now we want to insert some 3D text. To do this, we need to go to MoGraph and MoText. And there are one or two more ways, but this is by far the fastest way. So I'm just going to leave my text as text, and under the font I'm going to set it to a very famous font called Bebas, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with. It suits this whole style, if you will. It suits it well. I'll give it a depth of 100 because part of it is going to be hidden under the floor anyway, and I'm going to align it to the middle. And that's pretty much it for getting everything we need into the composition or scene, whatever you want to call it. Next, you want to select your text object and go to your rotation tool. Click on this red axis and hold down Shift and drag this way until it's at -90. This means that it's flat on the floor, and you can move it up then as much as you want. I find this is good. Now, since we're going to be working on this from the top, you might want to use this top view, but I like to use this because the top view doesn't really show the effects that well. It just shows an outline of them. It doesn't really show everything. So I'm just going to use the perspective view, and I'm just going to position my view and just make sure it's perfect. I'm not going to spend too much time, but yeah, okay, I'm not going to get too fussy. I'm happy with this. So now let's start working on the actual effect. This layer we've got right here will be the outer metallic shell of the text, and then we're going to create the inner fill for it. Now we're going to go to caps, and we're going to add a fillet on the start and the end. Now we're going to give it steps of 15 and a radius of 10. Do this on both sides, on both start and end. And once you've done that, you've pretty much got your metallic shell done. Now to make the fill, we're going to duplicate this text object. To do this, hold down Command on Mac or Control on Windows, and then just drag. Make sure you have whichever way you drag. So if you drag downwards, just make sure that this layer is on top of your original layer. So on this layer, you want to set the start to fillet cap and the end to fillet cap as well. Give it steps of 3 and a radius of 5 on both start and end. Now this might not look something so special to you yet, but after we create our materials, add them, and then light up the whole scene, you're going to see how I actually accomplished the effect. So now we're gonna focus on the materials. So double click here and you'll get a material, or you could go to create new material. Now double click on this, and here is the material editor where we can edit all aspects of our material. You can also rename it. I'm going to name this metal texture, or even material, and I'm going to color. I'm going to select a color of sort of darkish medium gray. Then I'm going to go to reflection. I'm going to set this to 0. Under texture, I'm going to go to Fresnel, since this adds realistic shadows. And under mix strength, I'm going to give it 34. And you don't need to worry about any of these other things, though you can experiment with them and see which ones you like. You can experiment with the specular, which is basically that shine you get there. You can experiment with the environment, the luminance, which kind of makes it glow. If I reduce the brightness, you see that right now it's glowing. When I turn it off, it becomes duller. Maybe if I just increase that even, you can see it's glowing. I uncheck it, it's not glowing. So you can play around with all of these, but I'm happy with this material. And I'm going to drag it onto my bottom layer. And just like that, I have my outer shell done. Now I'm going to duplicate this material in the same way we did the text objects. I'm going to hold down Command and Macro Control on Windows and then just drag. Now I'm going to double click on this and name this fill material. Now under color, I'll just like the bluish color. That works for me. And under reflection, I'm going to set the mix strength to something like 5, 10. Yeah, 7 works for me. And then just drag it onto your top text object. So our text is pretty much done. You see, if I do a quick render, it looks flat right now. But we're going to make it look 3D by adding the lighting. So first we're going to go to our render settings by either going to Command D on Mac or Control D on Windows, or you can just click this button right here and it'll bring up the render settings. Under Effect, we're going to go to Ambient Occlusion, and what this does is it adds realistic shadows even without some light. So we're going to set our maximum ray length to something like 160 centimeters, and the contrast will be 35%. Next, we're going to use some global illumination. Now, global illumination is used in other applications as well, and it's a really useful function that tracks all the points of light and realistically lights your entire scene. And now we're done with our render settings. You want to go to Add Light Object. Now, you can position this in 2 ways. You can either add a camera, turn it off and position it, then go back to the camera. But I'm just going to use these positions right here. On the y-axis, which is the one that goes up, but for us it's going to go forward, kind of. I'm going to set this to 500. Now I'm going to go to this button right here to change my view, and I'm going to go to the top. And you can also see now that what I meant by the effect not showing up properly with the colors and everything. But hey, I said you can use it if you want. So yeah. So if I just move this to around here and here, just get it sort of right. We sort of want it on the bottom left of our text. Now we're going to add another light. In the position, we're going to change this to 500. Again, you won't see anything much happen here because you can see it's from top, and if it comes closer or further, how you see it won't change. So you want to do the same as this, but only at the top, but a bit closer though. And that is a good lighting setup, I think so. And now the last thing I want to do is to make this scene more realistic is go to each of your lights, and most people will tell you to go to Shadow Map Soft. I prefer going to Shadow Maps Area because this makes it a tiny bit more better. It gives a tad bit more better shadows than Shadow Map Soft, and it simply just looks better. So if you want to, you can choose Shadow Map Soft, but I prefer Area. And now that's done, we can finally render out and see the whole thing. Since we have global illumination, you can see these dots appearing. It's tracking all the areas of light and the ambient occlusion. Now, if you're using global illumination, you can see quite some time has passed and it's still not done. But say if you have a 20-minute long animation, your thing may take a long time to render, so just watch out. And you can see our text is pretty much done. Now you can do other things like go to MoGraph, go to, I don't know, add a cloner object. You can make multiple versions of them come into one. Go to MoGraph Effector. You can randomize it and make it come in at once, make it assemble itself. I don't know, just go ahead and be creative with this whole effect. So thanks for watching. I hope this video has been useful to you, and just remember to comment, rate, and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys soon. Bye.